Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome back to another Michael's Community Classroom. So happy to be here today. We did have a last minute instructor change, so we are here today with the lovely Tamara Kelly from Moogly Vlog. For those of you who have never attended a class with us today, or class with us, my name is Allie W. I'm from Your Inspirations. I'll be helping get as many questions over to Tamara throughout class, helping get back to you and help you throughout the class. We have a really fun, great last minute gifting pattern for you all today. Really excited. I personally love making this pattern as a gift because it's just super easy to cruise through and it's so easily customizable too. I think we are ready to, I'll pass it off to you, Tamara.
Okay, thanks so much, Allie. So hi, I'm Tamara from Moogly. Happy to be stepping in for Marley today. She had some technical difficulties. She's okay. So if you're a Marley fan, don't worry about her. She's all right. Today, as Allie was saying, we are making the Caron Cozy Twisted Crochet Headband. That is the full official name of this pattern. So if you need to look that up, if you're watching this recording later, that's the pattern we are making today. So to make this pattern, we're going to be using Caron Lattee cakes. I've got one cake right here. I only had one in my stash. I don't have two colors. The original pattern does call for two colors, but you can make it all in one color if you want to. It's totally up to you. If you're a big Caron Lattee cakes fan, switch colors a little more often, add lots of stripes. You can definitely make this one your own. If you don't have any Caron Lattee cakes, what you want to look for is a 5-weight yarn. You want to look for something with the 5 yarn symbol on it. Because this pattern is going to really show off any yarn that you want to use with it, whether it's fuzzy or smooth. It's really just a great headband pattern. The other great thing about this pattern, especially if you do need to substitute yarns, is that we are going to be working to length today. That means that gauge isn't quite as important. Gauge is listed for this pattern, but we work the headband lengthwise, and we're going to be doing that by measuring how far we've gotten rather than working a certain number of rows. So again, if you need to substitute yarns, if your gauge doesn't exactly meet the pattern gauge, that's going to be fine because we're going to measure where we need to stop each section. So no worries there. You can go ahead and grab your favorite 5-weight yarn. Caron Lattee Cakes is, of course, really gorgeous in this pattern. The other thing we'll be using is a USK hook. And for this one, we're definitely going to need our standard crochet supplies of scissors, a yarn needle. We will want a stitch marker. And since we're working to measurement for this one, you will also need a tape measure. Tape measure, ruler, yardstick, whatever you've got handy. So I'm going to go ahead and bring over my hand camera and we'll switch over and start working on our Caron Cozy Twisted Crochet Headband. All right, so you can see here some more of the yarn. Now, if you haven't worked with cake yarn before, you have a couple of options. You can pull from the outside, take off the label, or you can pull from the center. Of course, that's a great thing about cakes. Most people want to pull from the center because as you work, it lays really nicely on the table. That said, sometimes finding that center can be a little bit tricky. So don't be afraid to kind of go ahead and pull out sort of the center mini cake, I guess, in a way. Go ahead and pull that one out of the center of the skein, and then you can find the end of your skein from there, or the end of your cake, I should say. And put that hook down so it won't roll away here. And then once we've got our little mini cake from the center here, it's a lot easier to start picking out and finding that end. There it is, right there. So if you want to go ahead and take the time to find the end of your cake there from the inside, just don't be afraid to go ahead and pull out a little bit more of that chunk in the middle rather than fishing around to just find that one end. There we go. So as you can see, Caron Lattee Cakes is a very fuzzy textured yarn. So this is going to add a lot of texture to this project. And we start again with our K hook and our yarn. And we start with our foundation row, which is going to be a right side row. This is where we're actually going to want to use that stitch marker I mentioned. So we want to make sure that it's a crochet style stitch marker, which means that it opens up like this. We don't want to use the knitting style where it's a solid circle. We need it to be able to open up and close for us. So we're going to just set that one aside for right now and begin on our foundation row. So the first thing we need to do is put a slip knot on our hook. Oh, get that on there. There we go. And then we're going to start with a chain of 14. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Let me double check and make sure that I've got that just right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay. So after you've chained 14, then all we're going to do is skip the chain closest to the hook and single crochet in each remaining chain to the end. Now, this is a little bit fuzzier yarn, like I mentioned. So if you have trouble finding exactly which loop you want to work into that chain, it's fine. It's all little secret. That end is all going to get sewn up and hidden in the end anyway. So wherever you like to work into the chain for this pattern is a-okay. I like to try and work into the back hump, but sometimes with fuzzy yarns, I get a little confused too. And like I say, it won't matter at all for this one. So we're going to skip the chain closest to the hook, come to that next chain, and just make a single crochet. And we're going to keep making a single crochet in each chain till we get to that very first one we made. So since we chained 14 and skipped the one closest to the hook, that means we should have 13 single crochets at the end of this row. And that is going to be, let me find that next stitch there. That is going to be our stitch count for this entire pattern. Every single row should have exactly 13 stitches. So that means you've got a couple of options. You can count your stitches every row if you're worried about keeping your ends or sides really straight, especially if you are a beginner crocheter. That is a common struggle. We all need to count our stitches sometimes. I'm actually working on a project right now where somehow my stitch count's gotten off and I need to pull back. So you can count your stitches every few rows, or if you've got a couple more stitch markers, what I like to recommend is put a stitch marker in the first stitch of each row as you make it. And then as you finish each row, you'll know exactly which is the last stitch that you need to work into. So here we have our row of 13 single crochets. And like I said, gauge isn't as important. If you actually wanted a narrower headband, you could just chain fewer and make fewer stitches. If for some reason you wanted a really, really wide headband, you could chain a few more and add a few more stitches. The width is very much customizable. So with row 1 made, then we're ready, or excuse me, the foundation row. This is the foundation row. We're ready to begin row 1, which will be our repeat actually for the whole rest of the pattern until we get to the end. But before we do that, I want to point out something on the written pattern. Let's see if I can get that close enough to show up on camera there. If you'll notice right next to foundation row in parentheses, it says RS. This means right side. This means that this foundation row we just made is going to be the right side of our fabric. That's where we really do want to have that stitch marker. It's going to make it a whole lot easier. So what we want to do is we want to put, let me pull my hook out of the way here so it doesn't roll around. There we go. What we want to do is go ahead and put a stitch marker right on the surface of that row 1. We don't want to put it in any stitches. We need to come back and work into those. And we want to have a stitch marker that we can just let sit there until we are all the way done crocheting. So I am just going to, and it's kind of hard to see here, but I just want to slip my stitch marker right through the front of any one of those stitches. Doesn't matter which one. I usually sort of aim for the center, but really the thing is you just want to make sure that it's on the surface of the stitch so that you know for sure now that this is the right side, and the side without the stitch marker will be the wrong side. That's usually abbreviated WS, but it's the right side that we tend to point out in patterns. So putting a stitch marker on that will help you when we get to the end. So with that made, like I say, we're ready to begin our row 1, which is our repeat that takes us all the way through the rest of the pattern. But to do that, we're going to be working in just the back loops only. So let's talk a little bit about that. Because it is hard to see on this really gorgeous fuzzy yarn, I'm going to pull up some Red Heart Super Saver because it is a smooth yarn and it will make it easier to see our stitches. I also saw a question pop up in the chat asking to see the slip knot again. And the slip knot is what we begin most, not all, but most crochet projects with. So now we've got a little bit smoother yarn and we're starting over again. Let's go ahead and do that. I like to make my slip knot kind of in my hands because I've been crocheting for a long time. That's how I do it. But to show it, I like to lay it out on the table so you can really see what's happening. To make the slip knot, we come in several inches and just fold our yarn over like that, sort of like we're making, I always say it reminds me of an awareness ribbon with the tail end of the yarn on top. Then we slide that tail end underneath that loop. Then we go into that loop. I'm going to grab that little piece of yarn right there from the center. I pull up on that while pulling down on the end attached to the skein and the tail end, which is the cut end here. And you can see this has made a little knot right there. That's called a slip knot. And I can slip my hook in there and pull on those ends to adjust the size of the knot. My guess would be that's why it's called a slip knot. You can adjust that size. So after you adjust the size of your slip knot, you want to make sure it's big enough to get your hook through, but not super big and loose. And then we're ready to start crocheting. So I'm just going to take a few stitches here with this one, not even going to do all 13, because I just want to be able to show you that front loop and back loop. There we go. Okay, so I've just made 3 little single crochets here. But the thing about front loop and back loop, it doesn't matter what sort of stitch you're talking about, what sort of stitch you've been making. All crochet stitches, at least all the ones I can think of, have these 2 loops at the top. If we turn them this way, you can kind of see how it makes a row of V's. They're sort of nested in together. Well, I'm right-handed, so I've been working across my work this way. Excuse me. So my little loops are facing this direction, and my working loop is this way. When I look at those top 2 loops on the top of the stitch, let me see if I can get that even closer here without getting into the shadow of the camera itself. When I go look at the top of any crochet stitch, we've got those 2 loops at the top that make the V. There's one that's closest to us while we're crocheting, and there's one that's further away. Oh, there we go. Normally, when we crochet, we work under both of those loops. That is the standard. If it doesn't say to do otherwise, we work under both of those loops. However, in this pattern, we have instructions saying to work under the back loop only. The front loop is always closest to us, the crocheter. The back loop is the one that's always furthest away. If we turn our project, now this is the front loop, and that's the back loop. So as we turn our work, we'll be working under just that back loop. So I've worked across this row. So I would turn to come back the other way. And as I work into that next row, I'm going to be going under just those back loops. So what I'm going to want to do is insert my hook right in the center of that stitch on top so that my hook goes under just the loop that's furthest away from me. Front loop and back loop are always relative to you, the crocheter. So this would be going under just the front loop, and this would be going under just the back loop. We still want to point our hook away from us. Going under just the back loop doesn't mean that we approach from the back of our fabric. We want to come down through the center of that stitch and go under just that back loop. So that's what we're going to be doing in this project for every single row until we get to the end. So let's go ahead and get our hook back in our loop here. Now, the great thing about working in the back loop only is that it's going to create a really pretty ribbed look, which we can see a little bit happening here on the photo of our pattern. So I put my hook back in my active loop here. I'm going to start by chaining 1 and turning. Some people like to turn and then chain 1. It's whatever you prefer. That's totally up to you. Then that chain 1, we're not going to work back into it. That's just our turning chain. And then we're going to single crochet in the back loops only of each single crochet across. That's it. Pretty simple, but a little harder to see in this fuzzy yarn. So let me bring it up just as close as I can get the camera to focus for us here. There we are. So I want to just sort of stick my hook, lost our light, stick our hook right in the center of that stitch. So you can see, hopefully, I've got my active loop that I was working with there, and then I've gone under just that one back loop of the stitch. Then I can yarn over and pull up my loop and finish my single crochet as usual. What that does is it leaves that front loop unworked, and that's going to create sort of a little ridge across here that will give this pattern even more texture than the yarn itself gives. So then we just continue that on across. We find that next stitch There we go. And then just go right into the center of it with our hook. So we go under just that back loop only. Then we can yarn over and pull up our loop and make our single crochet. And we just continue to do that all the way across. I know we've got a brand new beginner with us today, and this channel does have some great learn to crochet videos on it if you are brand new, but we'll go ahead and do a single crochet real slow here since we've got a little bit of time. We will insert our hook, this case, under that back loop only. We yarn over, which means we bring our yarn from the back up over our hook. We pull that loop through the loop of the stitch. Then we yarn over and pull through both of the loops that were on our hook. And that's our single crochet. So we just want to continue to do that all the way across. Now you can see here that stitch markers right there hanging out of the front of my fabric. That's fine. I'm just going to leave it right there. That's why we sort of wanted to pin it to the front of our fabric there so it wouldn't be in our way as we stitch. We don't want it to be in the top of a stitch because then it would be in our way right now. So if you guys have any questions on this pattern, as you can see so far, it is pretty simple in terms of the actual stitching. Definitely drop those in the chat. If you've made a pattern like this before, let us know what you thought of it. And definitely let us know where you're tuning in from. I saw somebody say it's snowing where they are today, which is a perfect day to make a project like this. So that is wonderful. All right, so there we are. I've just single crocheted in that back loop all the way across. And hopefully you can see, I think I can see it here in my monitor, that little ridge right there. Right there, that's what's created by working in the back loop only. So when we turn, we chain one again and turn our work. I always, since I'm right-handed, I always turn my work over like the page of a book. And then we do it again. We've got our chain one and we're going to go under the back loop only. So we go into the center of that stitch and just under that back loop. Then we yarn over and pull up our loop and finish our single crochet. Then again, always just the back loop. For this one, all the front loops will be left unworked. And that's what's going to give us the ribbing look that we want for this pattern. See if I can get that closer again. I have a little bit of trouble because the camera itself wants to block the light. So there we go. There's the center of that stitch. We come in just under that back loop. We started with a chain of 14. We skipped the chain closest to the hook. And then we worked in each remaining chain. So each row of this pattern should have a total of 13 stitches, 13 single crochets. I had one comment come up and say they love making headbands and they love latte cakes. I agree. This texture, it just adds something really special to your project. I wish I had two different colors to demonstrate this with today. I only had one ball of latte cakes in my collection, but it is certainly a very pretty one. And you can see, if I bring that up there, there's some great self-striping effects that you get with this as well. So we just want to make sure to work all the way to the end. And I talked about this a little bit here a few moments ago, but you can see, if you're an experienced crocheter, you can see your stitches, but if you're a new crocheter, I think it would be a little trickier with this to see where to begin and end each row. So this time, as we begin our next row, again, we're just repeating row one. It's the same row every time. Let's pull up a couple of stitch markers and start adding those to the first stitch of each row. That'll, I think, make it even easier to keep really nice straight sides on our headband. So again, we always want to start with a chain one. We don't work back into it. That's what we call our turning chain. It lifts us up to the height of the row that we want to make. Then we go into that first stitch. Again, always in that back loop only. Every single row for this pattern is worked in the back loop only. Of course, that first, that foundation row goes into the chain. So that's just worked in the chain, however you like to work into the chain. But after that, it's back loop only. Now, with all that talking, I forgot to put my stitch marker in. So let's come back and look. There it is. That's that first stitch. I put my stitch marker. I'm going to put it under both of those top two loops. Even though I'm only working under the back loop, I'll go ahead and put my stitch marker under both. And then I will know when I come back with this next row, I will know for sure that's the last stitch I work into. So if you don't want to count your stitches every row, using those stitch markers can really be a big help. It won't help you if you miss some in the middle, but typically for most new crocheters, it's the beginning and end of the row that we end up losing or adding a stitch. I see a comment from Julia saying she's a very experienced crocheter who still uses stitch markers. Julia, me too. I wish I'd used a few more on my other project I'm working on right now. They are such a huge help. They were something I know when I learned how to crochet, it was probably one of the last supplies I purchased, but these days they're just as important to me as my hooks. I really depend on stitch markers to help me keep myself straight. So now we've worked all the way across here for another row. I'm not going to bother putting a stitch marker in the last stitch because I'm going to chain one and work right back into it, but I'm going to leave that one there until I come back to it. And of course, we still have the one marking our right side. That's just going to hang out until we're all done with our crocheting. So I'll chain one and turn, and then we go right back into that first stitch for our back loop only single crochet. And then we can pull up our third stitch marker. I think 3 stitch markers would be just the right number to make this pattern. If you don't have stitch markers and you want to go ahead and get started on this today, you can absolutely use some great substitutes. Let me think, probably the easiest, most common would be a paper clip. You can just kind of slip the edge of the paper clip right under there. Safety pins also work if you are a jewelry maker, if that's one of your hobbies, if you've got some lobster clasps, those used to be one of my favorites. And as Julia said, a scrap piece of yarn, always a great option. That was a big one for me starting out as well. So if you don't have these stitch markers, that's okay. You can go ahead and get started on this pattern today, as long as you've got some yarn and a hook. Definitely scrap yarn, especially if you want to leave it in for a long time. I would take a little piece of scrap yarn and even tie a little bow in it. Then you'll always have that there when it's time for assembly. So I've worked my way back across, and you can see here I've come to that last one with the stitch marker. It's great. I know exactly this is going to be the last stitch I work in this row. So once I've worked into that one, I can go ahead and pull my stitch marker out and set it aside, and then I'll put it in the first stitch of this next row. We chain one, turn, and go right into that back loop. Since that's the first one of this row, this time I'll remember to put it in right away, and we've got our stitch marker in there. There we go. So we're just going to continue working back and forth in the back loop only, just as we've been doing, until it reaches 9 inches from the beginning, ending on a wrong side row. And we do that so that we can switch to our other color. If you have the written pattern in front of you, the Caron Cozy Twisted Crochet Headband, you'll see that it's worked in 2 colors. That wasn't a color change in the skein of yarn or in the Caron Lattee cakes. They worked it in 2 different colors. I only have 1 color with me today, so I will probably be making it all in 1 color, but you can absolutely switch colors if you like to. And that's what we do at the 9-inch mark. The total length for the headband is 18 inches. So if you're using just 1 color, you can go all the way to 18 inches. Now, you can see here, I used up all my little mini cake, so it's time to pull some more out of the center. And at first it's a little bit tight, but as that hole opens up, the yarn will just flow right on out of that cake. But now that I've made a few rows, hopefully you can see some of that ribbing texture that we've worked into there, as well as that great fuzzy yarn. So this is the right side and this is the wrong side. Now, to me, they look very similar. I think if you were using a less fuzzy yarn in the end of the day, it might make more of a difference, right side, wrong side. If for whatever reason your stitch marker falls out, or you forget to mark right side, wrong side, and you've got it all made, don't pull it all out and start over. I'm pretty sure you can get away with either side being the right side, because both of the sides of this fabric should be pretty darn close to identical, and certainly very attractive. So if for whatever reason you've lost track of which is the wrong side and the right side, do not fret. Just go ahead and you can pick one, or if you're right-handed, you can look at your beginning tail. It should be on the left when you're on the right side. If you're left-handed, your beginning tail will be on the right. So if it does fall out, that will be your clue to help you find the right side again. And of course, this is a great pattern for left-handed people as well, because it is just basically the same thing back and forth. We don't have any particular repeat or cabling or anything like that. Absolutely suitable for both right and left-handed without any changes necessary. So as I continue making these rows, I need to get a little bit of length on here for sure so that we can demonstrate how to put together the end, because that is our big special move. But as I continue crocheting, Allie, are there any questions I can answer?
Let me take a look. I
Okay.
don't see any questions right now, so
All
feel
right.
free to drop them in the chat if you have any questions.
Absolutely. And yeah, I do think this pattern would work well in any of the Caron cakes. Like I say, it uses a 5 weight. If you don't have a 5 weight, and here's another look at that with the camera a little bit closer. Oop, other way around. There we go. I know it was probably a little harder to see when I held it up in front of the camera. That's the weight you want to look for. But that said, we've already talked about how gauge isn't important and we're working to length. So as whatever yarn, whatever Caron cake you want to use, as long as you like the width and it suits you, then you'll be all set, because it doesn't matter how many rows it takes. We're just going to work until it's long enough. Now, the funny thing about working in the back loop only is that it's a very common thing for a lot of new crocheters to start out doing because they think that's the standard way. I include myself in that. When I first learned how to crochet, I thought all stitches were made in the back loop only. I didn't know that you were supposed to go under both loops unless otherwise specified. So I started making myself, because, brand new crocheter, full of ambition. I thought I would make myself a queen size single crochet through the back loop only blanket. So our experienced crocheters with us today will realize that means I think I got about 2 feet into that thing and had gone through 10 skeins of yarn, and it weighed about 50 pounds. So working in the back loop only creates a great ribbed, sort of this ribbed effect, but it does make the stitches just a little bit shorter. So you're going to end up making more rows for the same height when you work into the back loop only. So I quickly abandoned that project when I realized how much that blanket was going to weigh. But since then, I have found out it's a very common thing. A lot of people, when they learn how to crochet, for whatever reason, they start out working in that back loop only. So we always say, in crochet, it's not that when you're learning, it's not that you're making mistakes. You're just probably making more advanced stitches than you even meant to make. So it's all okay. It's just another stitch. So if for whatever reason, say, for example, you didn't like the ribbed look, you could absolutely work under both rows. And again, just work to measurement. The nice thing about this ribbed look is that it does give a little bit more texture and visual appeal. But, oh, and I forgot to put my stitch markers back in there, but I think we've got it. If you wanted to work under both loops, you could. But in addition to giving the just a little more texture and appeal, it does also tend to make things a little bit stretchier, just like any kind of ribbing does. So the reason, we'll talk a little bit about this. So we've got some chatting to do here while we do our crocheting. The reason that these stitches are a little bit lower is that you'll notice as you make your stitches, when you make a crochet stitch, particularly single crochets, those top 2 loops tend to be tilted towards you a little bit. The one closest to you, the front loop, is tilted typically a little bit down. So then when we turn and work in the back loop only, that stitch sits that little bit lower. So it makes the stitch a little bit shorter, but also allows it to pull and stretch a little bit more. And with something like a headband, having a little extra stretch can be really nice. That way it's more likely to fit more people. So I think I mentioned already that we're going to be working, well, if you make the whole thing, I don't think we'll have time to do it today in our hour, but if you do work the full length of this headband, it works to 18 inches. If you know you're making this for somebody with a smaller head, maybe someone who's 10 to 12 years old, 10 to 12 is when they start moving into sort of adult sized hats typically, but if you wanted to make it for someone that age or a little bit younger, or perhaps someone who likes to pull it down over a hat. I've seen a lot of headbands worn over baseball caps lately. Then you might want to add a couple extra rows. You can certainly customize the length for special size heads as well. So I'm just going to continue single crocheting through the back loop only here. And as I said, we would continue doing this until it measures 9 inches from the beginning. Let's see here. So to do that, I know we're not at 9 inches yet. I have a pretty good idea We're going to be closer to 3 or 4 here, but just to give you an idea, I've got my tail end here. It doesn't matter which side I'm really measuring from for now. Just going to see where I'm at. So we measure from our first row to the row we're working on. And we're just under 4 inches right now. I know it's kind of hard to see there on the table, but we are just under halfway of our first color. So if you wanted to change colors, very simply, all you do when you get to that 9-inch point is go ahead and you can finish off your first color and then just join your new color to that last stitch and begin again. However you like to do that. There's different ways to sort of finish off and join your new yarn. Really, any of them will work. It is personal preference. For something that you are going to wear like this, I'll show you when we get to a point where I can break my yarn, where we have enough length to sew it together. What I do recommend is that you avoid putting extra knots in your project. When it's time to pull that last end through, I will show you how to do that without adding extra bulk. Because when it's something that's worn against the skin like this, particularly something worn against a more sensitive area of the skin, like the head or the face, we just want to make sure that it's as comfy cozy as possible. We don't want a big lump of a knot pressing against our ear in the wrong spot or something. Let's see, the yarn's trying to come up and join the party here. There we go. So, all righty. Let's see, looks like Lana has a question perhaps, but I can't read it all with my hands busy here. Can you help me out with that, Allie?
Absolutely. They have a multicolored yarn, which is also fuzzy, so they're having a tough time seeing my stitches individually. Is there a trick being able to find yarn when you're...
Yeah, there's a couple things. There's some recommendations I can give for sure. Absolutely, fuzzy yarn is it's a tricky one. There's yarns that are so fuzzy, it's impossible to see your stitches. With this one, we can, but it's certainly more difficult, and it sounds like yours might be even trickier still. Things that can help are, assuming the yarn itself isn't white, having a nice bright background really helps, because let me see if I can pull this open a little bit here. You can kind of pull it open and really get some light through there. Again, bright lighting as well as a good, nice surface is good. There have been times when I've worked with fuzzy yarn, I'll even take a white pillowcase and lay it over my lap so that I know I've got a nice solid surface to let myself see my stitches. Another thing I do, and I've never actually tried to explain this to anybody till recently. One of the things I do when I've got really, really fuzzy yarn, something where, I really have no chance even of seeing my stitches, is you can kind of, and this may take experience, but you can kind of judge the size of the stitches by the size of the hook. And that does make sense because it's the size of the hook that decides the size of our stitches. But I find if I sort of just take the head of the hook there, where it's just, and it's just a matter of practice and eyeballing it, but you can kind of see I've got that loop kind of where there's just about as much hook sticking out as there is wide. And since we're going under the back loop only, that is going to be more tricky, but I just want to stick that hook straight down into the center of that stitch and feel for it. Now, if your yarn is so fuzzy that you can't tell if you went under the back loop or both loops, you may want to go under both loops or back loops, or just continue working across the right number of stitches and hope for the best. But if we can, we've sort of used that to guide us, and then we can finish that one. So then as we continue across, I will pull my hook back down to where it's just the tip. And then I find that for that width tends to be about the width of my stitches. And I can sort of just feel for it with my hook. Now, sometimes that doesn't work. In that case, what I like to do is I use my non-hook hand to really start feeling for where each stitch is. And if we do that, let's get a little closer here. You can see when I feel this one, I'm going to be feeling that gap right there. Then I'm going to feel a little lump. That's where the two stitches touch each other. Then I can rub it again and find that next gap. Find that lump and rub and find that next gap. And of course, that gap, if we were going under both loops, is exactly where we'd stick our hook, but it gives us a little bit of guidance. So let's come back here. I just worked into that one. So this is our next stitch right here. I can feel and find that hole right there with my fingers and pinch onto that with my non-hook hand. And then since we're working back loop only, just come straight down from the top between those fingers so that I catch just that back loop. And there we go. So those are kind of the things that I do. Like I say, bright light, a nice white background, and feeling for those stitches. And yeah, like, because I've noticed even when I use a great big hook, then it's kind of just that the end sort of fits into that next stitch. Another thing, if you're really in a pinch, you really need to be able to see your stitches, and you're not having any luck, is you can try working your really fuzzy yarn along with a smoother yarn. Hold it together with a yarn that contrasts or complements or completely matches. It's up to you. And hold those two strands together. You don't have to pre-twist them or anything. You just work them as if they were one strand. And having that smooth strand in there along with the fuzzy yarn can also really help you pick out each one of those stitches a little bit easier. Because it's a little easier, of course, to see the non-fuzzy stuff. When I first learned to crochet, in addition to working in the back loop only, I thought I would learn by picking up a super fuzzy yarn and a Tunisian hook. So we all have our fuzzy yarn battles, but with some experience, I really have come to love them. For a beginner, not usually what I recommend. I recommend if you really are learning to crochet, you start with a smooth yarn, because as we've discussed today, seeing those parts of the stitches with a fuzzy yarn is just a little bit more difficult. And while you're still learning to sort of read your work and see the parts of the stitches and how they come together, then having a smooth yarn is going to make that a whole lot easier. So you can see it's coming along pretty quickly. I don't have that second color, but we can go ahead and I think I'll go through this row. We want to finish on a wrong side row. Right now I'm making a right side row, so I'll finish this one and one more row. And then even though we're not at 9 inches, I think we'll go ahead and go over a couple different ways to join that other yarn. If you do want to make it 2 colors, or like I say, if you've got a bunch of Caron latte cakes, especially leftover bits from other projects, you can definitely switch colors more often, make this a super stripy headband. That would be a lot of fun as well. Create your own custom colorway to match whatever you need. Since it does use 2 colors, of course, that's absolutely perfect for sports teams, school colors, and just your 2 favorite colors these days. So let's see here. We've got our chain 1. Now I can tell I'm on a wrong side row because there's no stitch marker on this row. It's on the other side, or on this side, I should say. No stitch markers on this row, but no stitch markers on this side either. That's the right side. So now I know I'm working a wrong side row. So in our pattern, that is abbreviated WS. So RS is right side and WS is wrong side. So I'm gonna get my 13 stitches in here across. Like I say, if you don't want to use stitch markers, you don't have them, and you don't want to use scrap yarn, you can just make sure to count them as you go. Since there's only 13, that's not too hard to do once in a while. Much better than when it's something like 200, of course. That's when you really want to have the stitch markers in there. There we go. Okay. So I have worked, we'll pretend 9 inches ending on a wrong side row. Again, I know that because my stitch marker from our foundation row is now facing down. So what it calls for us to do, join color B to our last stitch and break color A. We do have a couple of different options here. Let me pull up the Red Heart Super Saver again, just for some contrast, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Pull out our old stitches. So one way a lot of people like to join or start a new yarn for colored striped patterns is to do it on the last stitch before you actually change colors. So I'm going to pull that last stitch out. Excuse me. Pull that last stitch out. I'm going to go under the back loop just as I did before. Everything exactly the same as before, but I'm going to stop when I have 2 loops left on the hook. And then I will pull up my new yarn, most likely another color of the Caron latte cakes. But again, we're just using our contrast here today so you can see. And then I would just lay that yarn end right over my hook and pull that through. And then I can just start crocheting with our new color. Alternatively, and of course, then I can cut that when I'm done weaving that end. the other way that's most common, I would say, is to go ahead and finish that whole last stitch in that color and then cut the yarn. I always like to leave a few inches. If you were to, somebody had a great question. If you add a smoother yarn to the fuzzy yarn, yes, it will mess up the gauge. If the pattern calls for the fuzzy yarn and you're doing things, adding a smooth yarn, that will mess up the gauge and thickness of the yarn. But if you're just practicing, learning, if it's something where gauge doesn't matter, like a blanket, or where you're working to length for this one, then you can play with that a little bit more. But that was a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so I know I'm done with this color. We'll pretend. So I can, the usual way, break the yarn over and pull that tail end through, but that adds just that little extra bit of a knot right there. And I know I'm a little bit of a stickler. I think other designers get on me for this, but I really don't like having knots in my wearables. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to pull right up on that tail, just like that. We still have 2 loops on there to work through. Now, granted, yes, this could pull back out, but I'm going to weave it in. You always want to weave in your ends, whether you've pulled it through that last loop or not. We need to weave it in well. So I'm going to weave this in at the end of my project, just like I would any other end. And it will stay in as long as I weave it in well. And that way I won't have that little extra lump of that yarn over and pull through right there. A little bit of a fine point, but it's one that I always like to do. Then I can take my new yarn. And again, I'm going to rejoin with my latte cakes here in a minute to keep going with this one, but we're just going to use this one for a little contrast. What I would go ahead and do, since we're working in the back loop only, I would insert my hook with no yarn on it right into the back loop only of that first stitch. We still want to turn. So there's our cut end. We still want to turn and work back the other direction. Go under just that back loop. Then I would yarn over with my new color. Chain 1. There we go. We've got our height. And then just go right back in there and start making those single crochets. So we can either finish the last stitch of the previous row with our new color, or we can break our yarn first and come in with the new color and join that way. Totally up to you, whichever you prefer to do it. And in fact, there is a third way for those who really want to know. You can start with that slip knot, and I'm going to make this one a little quickly, and put that on your hook with your new color. Go right in on that first stitch. Again, we want to make sure to do back loop only for this one. Yarn over, pull up the loop, and yarn over and pull through 2. And that's called joining with a single crochet or a standing single crochet. So all of those are absolutely options for adding that second color if that's what you want to do for your headband. That said, if you want to keep working in the same color, just like me, you've only got one color of the latte cakes, then we can just keep going with that same color. So I'm just going to go ahead and join back on here so I can get a couple more rows. And then we're going to want to pretend that we've gotten all the way to 18 inches and we'll do our sewing. So if you wanted to do it all in one color, you just keep going to 18 inches. If you want to do it in 2 colors, you'd want to break and change to your new color, probably about 9 inches. And if you're using a bunch of colors, well, then wherever you'd like to switch, it's up to you. So as I said, we keep going for 18 inches, but again, it looks like we want to make sure, I'm just double checking. Yes, we still want to end on a wrong side row. So when we join our new color, or when we join our new color, basically we are going to be on a right side row. So I need to work one more here to end up on a wrong side row again. And then we will pretend that I have gone for 18 inches. Now, like I said, you can see this is a pretty wide headband, at least in my personal gauge, but you can make it just as wide or as narrow as you like simply by adding or subtracting chains in that initial chain that we started with. However you like to wear it. So if you like a really wide headband, you want to make it even wider, you can. If you like something a little narrower, if you're making it for someone younger, you can eliminate a few of those first few starting chains for just a little bit narrower headband. Okay, so we are going to pretend that it now measures 18 inches. And again, we want to make sure that we're doing this from a wrong side row. So my stitch marker's down on the table here, and that it goes, woo, we'll say, all the way to 18 inches long. Then we are going to fasten off and break our yarn again. But little hint on this one, it doesn't say to do it in the pattern. We'll ignore those, pretend we've woven those in. We want to leave a long tail on this one. Normally we cut the yarn around 6 to 8 inches, and then we can, use that to weave in our end really well. We've got just a little bit of sewing. Sewing is sort of the trick that makes that great twist for this pattern. And sure, we could join another piece of yarn and do that, but we've already got a piece of yarn attached right where we need it to be. So let's go ahead and cut that closer to about 18 inches. You don't have to measure it out, just eyeball it, 1.5 feet or so. That should give us plenty of room to sew up this last little seam here. And then again, I'm just going to pull up on that end all the way through my stitch here. Oop, got caught on my hook. There we go, all the way through. Now is the tricky part. It's not that tricky though. It's one of those things where it looks really tricky until you've done it. This right here is a diagram for what we're going to be doing. Now, we want to lay it out with the right side facing up. So I've got my right side facing up here. We're going to leave our stitch marker there for right now. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just looking at it. No, I want to take that out of the way. It's going to be in the way. So what we're going to be doing, and of course, we usually have a lot more length for this. We're going to be bringing our ends up here to sew together, but we sew them together, not just 1 to 1, like you might have seen before. We're going to be making basically little C's with the fabric. I'm right-handed, so I tend to start with my right one, but you can see how it's a backward C right there. And we want to do the same thing with this end. Of course, this would be a lot easier if I had a little more length, but we're working with what we can do here. So I've got this end folded and this end folded. Then I'm going to slide those together. Let's see if we can get this really well centered here. I've got it for, row 1, our last row, both basically folded up towards me in half, and then I'm going to slide those together. I'm going to slide the top portion of this fold into the center of this one. Just like that. It's kind of hard to see. Let's do it again. Got it out flat. Fold it in half towards us, up. And just bring those right together. And you might need to adjust a little bit, but we want to, as much as possible, sort of get those edges even. So we want this edge to be all the way to this side, this edge to be all the way to this side. Slightly different color on my cake there. It's a little gray compared to the purple we ended on. You can kind of see that goes right up against it there. All right, let's do that one more time. We've got it out flat. Fold it basically in half towards us, and then bring those ends together. You want to just put the top half of that one C right sandwiched in the other C, and then the bottom of that one comes right up there to the bottom. Okay, so like I say, take your time, line these up. Don't have to worry so much about stitch to stitch, so to speak. We just want them to be really nicely even. Then, if you want to, you can pull those stitch markers back up and sort of pin that together for yourself a little better. Let me sort of figure out my ends here. This is the end, that long cut end. We're going to use that for sewing. So we want to make sure that's free and available. And then we can just use a couple of stitch markers to help hold everything together so it doesn't slide apart as we're sewing. 2 really ought to do it there, sort of one at the beginning and one at the end. Then we take that long cut end and find our yarn needle. There we are. And we put the end on our yarn needle, of course. And then the instructions say to whip stitch this together. And the whip stitch is super fun. It's super easy. If you haven't sewn your crochet before, it's a very easy stitch. Let me pull these ends out of the way here so they don't get us confused. We want to bring this up here, and you can see with this fuzzy yarn, it's a little bit chaotic, but that's okay. That means we don't have to worry about making sure we match up stitch to stitch to stitch through each layer. We can take this end and just go right through all those layers. Then a whip stitch means we're going to come back over the top and come the same direction. We don't want to come from the bottom back and forth. That's a different kind of stitch. The whip stitch, we want to go over and over. So we're always going to be coming back towards us with the needle. You could always go the other direction if you like. It doesn't really matter which direction as long as it's always the same one. So I'm going to pull this stitch marker actually out of my way. And I'm going to go back over and through. And I want to feel with my needle as best I can, try and make sure I'm getting through all 4 of those layers. Sometimes you can kind of use your needle to poke through those and make sure you're grabbing them all. And then just pull that down and try and get your yarn. Of course, my ends wanted to be in the way there. They wanted to get caught. So let's get those ends out of the way again. Normally, I'd recommend you weave those in before you start this part, but for the sake of time, there we go. We just pull that down. So let's do that again. We come from this side. We want to try and make sure that we pick up and go through all of 4 of those layers. Then we can pull right on through again. Get that loop of our yarn right on top of our seam. Same thing again. Come from this side. Make sure as best you can to pick up all 4 of those layers. If you have switched colors and they're 2 distinctive colors, that will be a little bit easier to see. And we just work our way all the way across. Do our best to get all of those layers. That's the whip stitch. I always think of it as just kind of whip your way right through it. It's a fast one. It's pretty simple. And we just want to make sure again that we catch all those layers as we go through. Now, if you get to the end, like I have here, you can see our 18 inches, we've got plenty of yarn left for seaming. I want to make sure I do go all the way to the end, but then I can go back across the other way just to make sure that I got all those layers all the way across. And you can see I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I'm not worried about necessarily going through the specific stitches. If you were using a smoother yarn, that might matter a little bit more, but with this fuzzy stuff, it's all going to be just fine to just go right on through there. Whoop. Make sure we keep that loop as we pull through right on top of our seam. Alrighty. So of course, when you get to the end, you can weave in this end just like you weave in the rest of your ends. I'm going to just do a real quick one here. I don't think this little tiny sample one's going to fit anybody, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting it in there just right. But now we can trim off that end. There we are. And now we've got our headband. So normally, as I say, we'd weave in all these other ends as well. I'm going to just kind of trim them off here on our little samples so they stay out of our way a little bit. And we can see what we're doing. Not how I recommend handling your ends normally, but if we pull this through here, there we go. Can we see that twist? Strange way of sewing it. And it's kind of hard to see, unfortunately, in this yarn and this color, but with 2 different colors, it'd be a little bit easier to see. We have a twist right here in that yarn. Let's see if I can kind of show it better with my fingers. There we go. So that, those 2 little C's, basically, let me show that with my fingers. That might be even easier. We take one end of the yarn and the other end of that scarf or a headband or whatever it is, and we just fit them together right like this. We sew through all 4 of these layers. This one, this one, this one, and this one. We want to catch all 4 of those layers in each one of those stitches. And that strange little layered C, when you turn it around, makes the twist that you see. So let's see. That's a great idea. Someone had an idea. Put it around your wrist to show it off. There we go. I made a great little bracelet. That's the size you make if you make it this size. And that's, I think, a little easier there to see the twist. It's very warm and cozy. I love the feel of this yarn. Have you had a chance to use this one, Allie?
Yes, it is so squishy.
Mm-hmm.
So nice.
Yeah. Oh, and Julia says this is a great idea. Make it this size and it's a great little cup cozy. I love that. That would be so cute and fashionable and trendy. You can make it to match your headband and have a whole set. That would be so much fun. That'd be a great use for the leftover yarn after you've made your headband too. Or teacher gifts this year. If you are looking for a last minute teacher gift, There we go. Headband and cup cozy sets. I can't imagine a teacher that wouldn't love those, especially if you pair it with a gift card to the local coffee shop. They'll be all set. They'll have something to wear and go get their coffee. So you can see it's really nice and wide. Otherwise, again, you can totally customize the width just by chaining a different amount of chains to start with, and then work it to, well, whatever length you like, whether it's bracelet length or headband length or whatever you like. So yeah, we can go ahead and come back to the other camera, I think. One more time, this has been the Caron Cozy Twisted Crochet Headband. If you need to go look that up and follow along with the written pattern. If you are a beginner, this is a great pattern to follow along with and learn how to read your patterns because it is so simple. And you can explore all the different really fun Caron cakes with this one as well. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll turn it back over to you, Allie.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us, and thank you for joining all of our Michael's Community Classrooms, and we hope to see you again next year.
All right. Have a great holiday, everybody. Bye.